Biometric security, a frequent sci-fi gig, has become a mainstream norm of authentication and login security. It's convenient, unique, and user-friendly, but it also could be the most stupid security token you could use. Consider this. If somebody steals your password, all you need to do to secure your account is to change the password. But what if somebody steals your fingerprint? You leave your fingerprint everywhere, you can't change it, and yet you're encouraged to use it as a security token. When it comes to pure entropy, fingerprints or facial recognition can generate a stronger security key than a bad password. The problem is that if someone has a bad password practice, you can teach them to do better, but you can't change their face. Well, without the help from a bear wrestler from Dagestan at least.
I want to change his face, make him humble, a little bit teach him, not only smash, like change his face.
The whole promise of biometric security stands and falls on how easy it is to replicate and abuse biometric modals. And the short answer is, it's a cat and mouse game. On the long enough timeline, someone will be able to recreate a copy of your face or fingerprints that works just fine enough to fool authenticating systems. Once your biometric data is compromised, it affects all applications at once, and you will be affected for the rest of your life. Enterprise-level multi-factor biometric systems could improve security of the premises, but consumer-grade biometric authentication is more of a convenience measure than a security enhancement. When Apple first released Touch ID for iPhone in 2013, it was touted as the next step in the evolution of secure authentication. In just 24 hours, hackers found a cheap solution to break it. A photograph of your fingerprint taken from a glass surface, such as your very iPhone, is enough to recreate a replica that Apple's Touch ID would accept as your genuine fingerprint. This whole process takes about 30 minutes. Now you may think this still reduces your attack surface because hackers have to get physical access to your device and a fingerprint. But boy, is it way worse than that. Even just a high-resolution photo of your hands will give hackers enough data to construct a fake fingerprint. A German hacker was able to use press photographs of Germany's defense minister to duplicate her fingerprints. A quick scan of your photos posted all over social media may give hackers exactly what they need to achieve that. Now, before you start scrolling through your social media to delete any photo that has your fingertips facing the camera, let me reassure you that it's already too late. Your fingerprint may be all over the internet and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to remind yourself that your phone isn't the only thing that has your fingerprint. Your biometric data is most likely stored on multiple databases that often act as lucrative targets for hackers. Kaspersky found that up to a third of biometric systems that store biometric data were targeted by malware attacks. Further analysis showed there is an emerging market for mass distributed malware aimed at stealing biometric modals from banks and financial systems.
Nothing has ever been simpler, more natural, and effortless. We call this Face ID.
If you're rich or dumb, you probably spend $1,000 on an iPhone with Face ID. And Face ID is 10 times better than Touch ID because there is a liveness detector and you're not going around slamming your face all over the place.
Access denied. Access denied.
Change his face.
Access.
That you're fine when you're not.
You believe the false sense of security Apple gives you by claiming your facial recognition data is only stored on your iPhone. Granted, Apple Face ID is among the most secure facial authentication systems available for consumers. But your iPhone is not the only device that can scan your face. Facial recognition can be used anywhere without your consent. Taylor Swift used a kiosk that showed a rehearsal of her clips to entertain fans as a disguise of its true purpose: to use facial recognition to identify her stalker. Facial recognition is used by advertisers in public places where banners and posters can be used to identify you and even link to your social media accounts. As you are stomping around from one foot onto another on a bus stop, facial recognition banner can get detailed scans of your face from all angles, more than enough to craft a perfect copy of your face. Even Vimeo, a video hosting site, was sued for allegedly using people's facial biometrics and storing this data taken from their videos without their consent. You could easily be socially engineered into rotating your face in front of a hidden camera while staring at a banner somewhere in a mall right next to an Apple store. Hackers are very patient people, and cybercrime is a multi-trillion-dollar business. Your facial biometrics is a lucrative target. Apple's Face ID security is majestically falling apart as researchers and hackers get crafty in tricking Face ID. Through the use of 3D printing of facial models and VR systems to perform facial animation, hackers can make face masks that look hideous to the human eye, but are good looking enough to fool Face ID. And if you are on a budget Android phone using some sort of face unlock, the situation is even worse for you. The price tag of the True Depth 3D sensor used in iPhone X is $60 per unit. That's prohibitively costly for budget Android vendors. So they default to much less secure mechanisms that are even easier to fool than Apple's Face ID. In the age of social media, surveillance cameras, and algorithmic marketing, your face is virtually everywhere, and the biometric data generated from it is stored in remote data centers with pathetic security. A breach is not a matter of if, but when. In 2015, the US Office of Personnel Management suffered a severe cyber attack where fingerprints of 5.6 million people associated with the US government were stolen. In the UK, fingerprints and facial recognition data of more than 1 million people has been found on a publicly available database in an unencrypted form. In an unsophisticated attack vector, researchers were able to access a total of 27.8 million records filled with biometric information and login credentials. Among the most alluring targets of profit-seeking hackers are major airliners. In cooperation with airport security and border control, airlines also rely on facial recognition to facilitate the process of travel and boarding. The convenience comes at the price of security. Cathay Pacific breach exposed data of 9.4 million customers in 2018, while British Airways a record-breaking fine of £183 million by the European Union for exposing passport, credit card, and other personal details of 500,000 customers. On top of that, biometric security will always be susceptible to false rejection rate and false acceptance rate. In the former, you may downgrade to less secure authentication mechanism to bypass faulty recognition system. Most phones with fingerprint sensor or face unlock feature, including iPhone, offer a backup solution to unlock your phone through a PIN or passcode, which means your phone is only as secure as the secondary unlocking mechanism, which for most non-security minded people is not secure at all. False positives among family relatives, including twins, parents, and their children and siblings, is not uncommon, and it significantly increases your attack surface. Your close relatives may share just enough similarities in their faces to confuse facial recognition. On the other hand, they all might be using different pins or passcodes that are not known to one another. Unlike passwords, biometric data will always have greater than zero probability of false negatives and false positives. At the end of the day, biometrics is just a long password, and just like long passwords, it can be eventually brute forced. The best use of your biometrics is as part of a multi-factor authentication, where you have to enter something you know, something you have, and something you are. No modern smartphones are offering this level of protection. Security tokens, such as authentication USB keys from Yubico or NitroKey, are still the most secure way of authentication because for as much as we know, they are the least replicable, if at all. For device encryption, the long-established device still prevails. The longer the passphrase, the stronger the security of the encryption key. In many jurisdictions, the police may unlock your phone by forcefully using your fingers or your face, but in the US, you can evoke the Fifth Amendment to refuse to give out your password because you can't be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against yourself. As of right now, biometric security as a one-off authentication event isn't going to be more secure than a strong passphrase or multi-factor authentication. A truly secure biometric implementation would be a continuous pattern recognition that constantly scans your behavior, gait, keystrokes, movement, voice, as well as face and fingerprints. For now, I will end this video with a quote from the German hacker group that broke Apple's Touch ID in 24 hours. "It is plain stupid to use something that you can't change and that you leave everywhere, every day as a security token." Thank you for watching. Please help this channel survive by donating to my Patreon or my Bitcoin or Monero wallets. Thank you for your support.